Welcome to Bottles and Bites Without Borders, where every sip and every bite tell a story. Rob is your host. Each week, he will take you on a delicious journey, from vineyard tales and distillery secrets to culinary traditions. So, grab a favorite drink, a plate of something tasty, and join us for another adventure with Bottles and Bites.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast, and welcome back to the last part 5 of Uncorking Italy. We've been swirling, sipping, and exploring our way through Italy's most iconic wine regions, and today we've reached the end of our journey. I'm Rob, your host, and today we're heading down south. We're going to head to a place where ancient grapes thrive in volcanic soils, coastal breezes shape bold reds and zesty whites, and history seeps into every bottle. Southern Italy is rustic, soulful, and widely underrated, and we're going to expose you to some of these offerings. Hopefully you've had some, but if not, prepare to go explore and be amazed at how good these wines are. So where are we going today? Well, we're going to dive into Campania. Campania is the home of Aglianico and some of Italy's most compelling white wines. Then we're going to head over to Puglia, the hill of the boot in Italy, known for Primitivo and gorgeous red blends as well. And then we're going to head over to the mountainous gems of Basilicata and Calabria, where ancient varietals and rugged landscapes yield wines full of character. All right, the first region we're stopping into on this episode is going to be Campania, and this is located around Naples. This is a region with ancient and vibrant wine traditions. It has rich winemaking heritage dating back to the Greeks and Romans, and thanks to its volcanic soils, abundant sunshine, and coastal influences, it really produces wines that are bold, aromatic, and full of character. And we're going to get into those. White wines are where we're going to start. These are the gems of this region. It really is. And we're going to start with Falanghina. Falanghina is going to be our first grape that we talk about. These are beautiful wines. Falanghina is an ancient white grape variety that hails from Campania in southern Italy, particularly around Benevento and Naples. Its name likely comes from phalange. This is Latin for those stakes that they use to support vines in Roman vineyards, which kind of hints at how long this grape has been cultivated. Now, for the longest time, it was pretty much forgotten and relegated to bulk wine status. And this was for multiple decades. In the 1990s and the 2000s, it saw a renaissance. Companion producers focused on quality, started to get away from that bulk wine. And today, it's one of the region's signature white wines. Now, this wine region, being full transparency, being totally honest, is new to me as well. New in the sense that I haven't had a lot of wines from this area, but I've had all of them that we're talking about on multiple occasions, and I think they're just gorgeous. They're absolutely delicious wines. And so I'm doing this podcast, but I'm also kind of exploring, as we go along and encouraging you all to explore as well. Falanghina, let's talk about the profile of this wine. Falanghina, this produces aromatic, zesty, mineral-driven wines. What you can typically expect from this grape, from this wine, aromas would be like white flowers, apple, pears, citrus peel, crushed herbs. On the palate, it's going to have very lively acidity, crisp texture, saline or mineral notes, especially from wines from volcanic soils, and often hints of almond or spice. The body on these wines are typically light to medium. There's no, kind of heavy or full-bodied wines from this style. And usually they're unoaked, they're fresh, they're dry. But some producers, they do experiment with lees aging or light oak for some complexity. And Campania's volcanic soils, especially near Mount Vesuvius, contribute to the distinct minerality in Falanghina wines. The Mediterranean climate, with warm days and cool sea breezes, helps the grape retain their acidity and the aromatics, which We all love great acidity in wine, and who doesn't love some beautiful aromatics when we're sticking that right up to our nose? All right, let's move to our second white wine, our second grape that makes white wine. That is Greco. This is Campania's noble white. The Greco grape, especially in the form of Greco de Tufo, is believed to have been brought to southern Italy by ancient Greeks, possibly as far back as the first millennium. It was known to the Romans and enjoyed a reputation for making fine wine. The most famous expression today in Greco de Tufo, DOCG, comes from the province of Aglianico in the hills of Irpinia. The word tufo refers not just to the town, but also to the volcanic tough soil that gives these wines its characteristic and minerality. Now let's talk about the profile of Greco de Tufo. Now this wine, this is not your light patio sipper. This is a more serious, a textured white wine that can evolve in the bottle over time. When you have this in the glass, you're going to get aromas of stone fruits, peach, apricot. These are your stone fruits. Love it when people say stone fruit. Just means big seed in the middle. Citrus peel is going to be some aromas you'll get. Almonds, flint, white flowers. On the palate, this is medium to full-bodied. And to me, I love a medium to full-bodied white. I like a little weight on the palate. On the palate, it's going to have very assertive acidity, and it's still going to be mineral-driven at its core. The texture of the wine is going to be firm, dry, sometimes with a slightly oily or waxy mouthfeel. But the finish is going to be long and often slightly bitter. Think of almond skin or citrus pith. Many wines are unoaked, but some producers do experiment with lees aging, subtle oak to add roundness and depth. So in this region, you'll see a little oak being played with a little bit. All right, we're going to move to the third and final grape in this region of Campania for white wine, and that's Fiano. And this is this is my favorite grape from this region and competes with my favorite white wine grape in all of Italy. But fantastic wines. This is Campania's refined white, if you will. Fiano is an ancient grape. It's believed to be Greek or Roman in origin and was known in antiquity as Apinium, named for its sweetness that attracted bees. It has long been cultivated in Irpinia, the inland hilly zone of Campania, especially around the town of Aglianico. Today, this is the most celebrated expression of Fiano, which is Fiano de Aglianico, DOCG. It's one of the premier white wines of Italy. It's something that is starting to make its way out of the region a lot more, or at least I'm seeing it around a lot of wine shops here in the United States a lot more than I did several years ago. So this is a good thing because this is a high quality, beautiful wine. I will tell you, this is a grape that has been adopted by Australia as well, and they're doing some beautiful things with this grape as well, just to kind of illustrate how popular this grape can be or is. Beautiful wines. The grape itself, this is a grape that ripens kind of mid-season, so it's not a late ripening grape. It's naturally low yielding, which contributes to its concentration, And it has, great aromatics texture. It's capable of long aging. Fiano is more floral and nutty than Greco or Falangina, and it's known for its depth and finesse. So let's talk about the profile of Fiano de Aglianico. Producers, let's say it this way. Fiano produces complex, structured wines with great aging potential, often compared to top-tier whites from Burgundy or Alsace. So what might you get on this when you have this in the glass? Well, you're going to get aromas of white flowers. You're going to get acacia, hazelnut, honey, ripe pear, melon, a little bit of spice. On the palate, this is going to be medium to full bodied. It's going to have a very smooth texture. And often you're going to get this waxy or creamy kind of characteristic to it. And it has very bright acidity. Now, the finish for Fiano is long. It's lingering, often with notes of toasted nuts, some honeycomb. And you're still going to get that mineral flintiness as it ages. Now, aged versions can show petrol. When you think about, Riesling, you get that petrol note. You get almond. You can get some candied citrus notes. So this is something that, like I said, could be similar to Riesling and even Chenin Blanc. Now we're going to talk about a red wine from this region. And yes, I'm only going to talk about one red wine here. And that grape is Aglianico. This is a deep, structured wine with age worthiness and referred to in Italy as the Barolo of the South. Now, this grape has ancient roots. Aglianico is one of Italy's oldest grape varieties. It's widely believed to have been introduced by the ancient Greeks, possibly from Euboea around the 7th or 6th century BCE. The name Aglianico may be a corruption of Hellenico, meaning Greek. We're not sure. In the Roman era, it was prized by the Romans, likely used in Falernian wine, one of the most famous wines of the Roman Empire. The modern Renaissance, long overshadowed by northern Italian wines, Aglianico has had a resurgence since the 1990s, now recognized as one of Italy's premier red grapes, comparable in stature to Nebbiolo and even Sangiovese for Brunello. Now, we know it's a red grape. It ripens very late. Harvest sometimes can go into November for Aglianico. Tannins are high, acidity is high. This is where, when you think about that comparison to Barolo, that's the beauty of Barolo, right? Nebbiolo is it's a very high acid, high tannin wine, which helps with the structure of the wines and helps with that ageability. This grape, Aglianico, is very similar. So here again, you're going to get that exceptional aging potential. And a lot of times these wines improve for up to 10 to 20 years. So Aglianico is a grape that ripens late, needs a warm climate with cool nights, and Campania's volcanic soils and high altitude vineyards. I mean, this is provided perfectly in that location. So beautiful, beautiful wines. What do you get on the nose? Or let's just say when you have this in the glass, what are you going to get? What's the profile of Aglianico? Well, it's known for power, structure, and complexity, often needing time to soften its robust tannins and acidity. So aromas in the glass might be black cherry, plum, leather, tobacco, some earth, a little dried herbs, cocoa, violets. You can see there's a lot going on. So when we talk about complexity, those are the kind of the layers that we're talking about. On the palate, this is going to be full bodied. It's going to have grippy tannins. It's going to be refreshing acidity. And as it ages, it's going to develop notes of tar, dried fruit, balsamic, espresso, and really iron-like minerality. It's not a wine for impatient drinkers. It rewards cellaring with elegance and depth. So this is one of those wines you need to put on your list if you've never had. So that finishes off Campania. We're going to leave that region. We're going to head over to Puglia. And Puglia is the heel of Italy's boot, a long, sun-drenched region stretching along the Adriatic and Ionian seas. It's one of Italy's oldest wine-producing regions, known for high-volume production in the past, but most recently it gained attention for bold reds, fresh whites, and excellent value in quality wine. So you can see a trend here, right? This is continuing to happen. All these regions we go to used to be bulk wines. Now they've kind of changed their approach and they're starting to focus more on quality. And, they're producing some beautiful wines. And we're seeing that again here in Puglia. Now, when we talked about Campania, we said, the whites were the stars up in Campania with the one red grape of Aglianico. Here it's kind of the opposite. Reds are the stars, but we still have some white wines, and we're just going to mention them. They are Fiano and Falangina. So we're not going to talk about those because we covered those already up in Campania. So we're going to move right up to the reds. And I will say that, you can still try these. There's going to be some differences there in Fiano and Falangina. But as far as the grape and covering that, we've done that in Campania. So we're going to move right along to these reds. And the star in this area is Primitivo. That's when you think Puglia, you think Primitivo. And this is the DNA cousin of Zinfandel. And then we're going to talk about a couple of grapes that, honestly, I've never had. But I'm going to mention them because they're in this region. Now, if you don't know, Primitivo is the DNA cousin of Zinfandel. Same grape, maybe different clone, if you will. Primitivo is rich, it's ripe, it's fruity. If it's often high in alcohol, and when you hear somebody say it's ripe, the more ripe you get, the more sugar you get, which in the end equals more alcohol. It grows especially well in Manduria, and it has flavors of, just like Zinfandel, blackberry jam, spice, dark chocolates. So let's talk about the profile of this wine. What are you going to get when you have it in the glass? For aromas, you're going to get, like we just mentioned, that ripe blackberry. You're going to get cherry jam. You're going to get plum, raisin, baking spices. On the palate, this is going to be a full-bodied wine. It's going to have soft tannins, a smooth mouthfeel, and a lot of times you're going to get this touch of sweet or warm due to the high alcohol. The style of these wines are often bold, they're fruit-forward and plush. Though more serious and structured versions do exist, especially from the Gioia del Colle region. Quickly, just some fun facts about, what to pair with this particular wine. Barbecue always seems the number one choice, and I think barbecue, is a really good choice. Grilled meats in general is really good. A lot of people, when you have like a spicy sausage or mushrooms on a pizza, will go to a Zinfandel. Pastas with rich tomato sauce or meat ragu sauces go really well. I guess ragu is a sauce. Aged cheeses work well. And a lot of times some people want, like chocolate desserts with the sweet Primitivo will sometimes be a choice people will make. Okay, we're done with Campania. That was a quick stop on this tour of southern Italy. We're going to move on to Basilicata and Calabria. These are two often overlooked regions in southern Italy that produce bold, character-driven wines. Both are steeped in ancient history, rugged landscapes, got this mountainous landscapes there, and unique grape varieties that are gaining recognition for their quality, but also for their authenticity, giving you that sense of place. And that's what we, as wine lovers, really like, is that you get wines that really take you to this place. And these do that. So just a quick kind of region overview. Basilicata and Calabria, their location is inland, kind of between Campania and Puglia and Calabria, for that matter. The landscape is mountainous and volcanic, especially around Mount Vulture. Climate is continental with hot days, cool nights, and this is obviously ideal grape ripening and ideal grape growing kind of weather. You want those diurnal shifts in the evening temperature. Now, for Basilicata, the star grape here is, again, Aglianico. But this is Aglianico del Vulture DOCG. This is their flagship wine. It's made from 100% Aglianico. Grapes grown on the slopes of the extinct Mount Vulture volcano. So the DOC status came in 1971, with Sapore getting DOCG status in 2010. Superiority means you have to age it a minimum of 3 years, with one of those years being in barrel. So let's talk about the profile of this grape, this wine. What do you get in the glass? Well, it's going to be full-bodied. It's going to be deep garnet. It's going to have tannic and structured in its youth, and it's going to age very gracefully. You're going to get notes of dark cherry, tobacco, leather, mineral, iron, and earth. A little dirt. Who doesn't like a little dirt in their wine? Volcanic soils give it intensity and freshness, comparable to Tassari, but often more rustic and less polished. Yet these wines, they do offer exceptional value. So worth finding if you can. You can get these typically, entry level, less than $20, 18 to 20, $22. And then like all wines from there, you just go up. Now we're going to move over to Calabria. And I got to tell you, this is a grape, again, I'm on this journey with you. I've never had. It is one that I've, looked into and researched. I want to find this. I want to try it. Aglianico is Calabria's signature red grape. It's rustic, it's resilient, and deeply tied to the region's ancient wine culture. Not widely known outside of Italy, Aglianico produces characterful, food-friendly wines that are finally gaining attention from sommeliers and wine explorers around the globe. So the origin and history of this wine, well, it's an ancient grape. It's believed to be one of Italy's oldest grapes, possibly introduced by the Greek settlers over 2,000 years ago. Again, Greeks, big influence in the wine world, especially in Italy, around the globe, but also in Italy and in Greece. Historically tied to Ciro, which is the coastal area of Calabria, that once was known to be home of Croton, a major city of Magna Graecia. In antiquity, Ciro wine was said to be offered to Olympic champions. Today, Aglianico is the dominant grape in the Ciro DOC. Now, this grape is a red grape. It ripens mid to late. Tannins are moderate to high. Acidity is medium to high. And, it thrives in a climate that is hot, like Calabria's climate, hot Mediterranean climate, drought resistant, and loves the sun. So what's the profile of this wine? What are you going to get when you have this one in the glass? Well, the color of this is going to be pale garnet to deep ruby. Can appear lighter despite its tannins. Aromas, you're going to get on the nose some sour cherry, some dried rose, Mediterranean herbs, baking spice, some leather, dusty earth. On the palate, this is a medium-bodied wine, firm tannins, refreshing acidity, a little rustic edge to it, if you will. And then the texture of this wine is often earthy and grippy, especially in traditional styles. Aging these wines, well, it's best to have these young typically. Though Reserva bottlings can age, 8 to 10 years, but this is a wine that's made it's a grape and a style being made that is, to be consumed young. There's two different kind of styles right now being made with this grape. One is modern, one is traditional. In the traditional, you're going to get rustic, bone dry, sometimes oxidative, made for pairing with food. In the modern version of this wine, you're going to get a more clean wine. You're going to get more fruit forward. Some oak may be used to soften tannins and round out the texture. So kind of a fun part of doing this is trying both of those and seeing which one hits you, which one hits your palate. What would also be fun in this region is to do a little comparison between Aglianico and Aglianico. And, maybe if that's something you want us to do on the YouTube channel, send us a message at one of our social media links in the description in this podcast and let us know. Be interesting to see how those might compare to one another. And that brings us to the end of our journey through southern Italy and the final part of our series of Uncorking Italy. From the volcanic strength of Aglianico del Veltre to the sun-kissed generosity of Primitivo in Puglia, from the elegance of Fiano and Greco de Tufo in Campania, to the rustic charm of Aglianico and Calabria, the South is a region full of heart, heritage, and hidden gems. These wines may not always get the spotlight, but they're honest, they're expressive, and full of soul. They reflect the sun, the sea, the mountains, and the centuries of culture that shaped them. Over the past 5 episodes, we've sipped through Tuscany, Piedmont, Sicily, Northeast Italy, and now the South. And what I hope you've seen in this Italian wine series isn't just a beverage, it's a passport into history, family, place, and passion. Whether you're drinking Barolo, Etna Bianco, Friulano, or a spicy red from Salento, you're tasting a piece of Italy itself. Thank you so much for joining me on this flavorful adventure. If you've enjoyed this series, I'd love for you to share it, leave a review, and tell me what regions or themes you'd like to explore next. Until next time, keep your glass full, your curiosity alive, and remember, wine, like life, is better when it's shared. Cheers, everyone.